YouTubers, what are you doing? Night shift all week this week, looks like. Pressure. Time, pressure, and heat. Turn a lump of coal into a diamond. They just, man, if you look around, you look at the crazy, how it was, and then now you look at the rise of the diamonds. The Fod had all these stones, 12 of them, 12 gemstones. The high priest, he had like a plate carrier with these rocks on it. They called it the Fod, and there's 12 of them. And when the New Jerusalem comes down out of the sky, those different rocks are in the gates when you enter in. So that's pretty cool. And then living light. There is a it's been a while since I studied on it, but it was the way that actual light refracts inside, in particular, the rocks that are in the ephod. Those gemstones, in particular. It's I want to use the word dazzling, but that's not exactly right. And it has an effect on one's personal being. Now, a long time ago, I had a dream, and in the dream, there was a mountain, and I was inside this cave, inside the mountain, and this, I guess, rock creature. I guess that's about the best way I can describe it. Pretty good size, and, well, enormous, actually. And they gave me this deal. I just didn't, well, it was a bunch of rocks is what it was, but it was it kind of puts you in the mind of like off that movie, what you call it, dinosaurs, Jurassic Park. So you see the mosquito inside this rock, and it wasn't really gold, it wasn't yellow, it wasn't orange, but it's like it was that. It was kind of like that, and so that's what that rock creature gave me, and so that was pretty cool in the dream. And then there was a necklace there at the apartment when I first moved to Texas, and then I found these jewelry, and I gave some of those to my wife, and then I had a couple others, whatever. Anyway, but I would always be reminded when I would see that, because I had that necklace on the wall there, and I would see that, and that's why I always remember that dream. Now, what significance that had, I have no idea. So, the country seems to be, it's like there's a pendulum that swings back and forth between righteousness and darkness, between darkness and light, good and evil. And we see that the evil was very much in control, and now that it's getting better, but do you call that good or not? Highly debatable. And you know, there's always this thing about, you know, which angle are they coming at me next, you know, and they keep shifting, you know, and ratcheting up the pressure, and you'll hear people talk about the frog in the water pot or whatever. Well, hey, that is a frog. I'm a human being. I am not a frog, and yeah, you can alter my conditions to a certain degree, but don't think I ain't gonna jump. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason for replacement migration. Like you can push us old boys in a certain way for so long, and come at it from various angles that we will tolerate. But yeah, like we'll flip out, dude, and like take some shit over for real. Like they're called revolutions for a reason. And my lineage is known for innovative new ways of making sure that gets done. And I mean, like right now, like if you look across the world, I mean, it's not exactly the barbarians that are running things. Like most people that are tough and they excel in sports, or they're seemingly tough and all that kind of stuff. Hey, some little Poindexter looking dude that's running the show. You know what I mean? The pen really is mightier than the sword. You know, and I've been amazed. I don't know how many times in my life where I would see, you know, we would be going and doing to whatever degree, and then you get to like, you think it's like the video game mentality where you get to the end of the level, there's like the final boss. He's this big monster or whatever like that, and that's part of the delusion. There's not this big final boss at the end of the stage. There's some weak, pathetic, just nothing of a man. Can't change a flat tire, pinch his head off pretty easy. Weakling. But they're like real good with numbers and like writing stuff on paper. Like they just excel at that, and they're, dominating the earth. It's wild. And then on occasion, you'll find people that are particular in both, where they can pencil whip you, and they can also physically whip you. You know what I mean? But it's so rare. That's so rare. Like your final boss, as you're increasing in age and stage, like you get there and it's, the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, you lift the veil, it's like, oh, this is just some pathetic old man. You know what I mean? So, I heard a guy one time, he said, he was describing business, and you show up to a fight, right? Like business is a street fight. So you show up, they show up, and then they got some friends or whatever. So you're like, oh man, and then like if you show up and like you got money, that's like having a whole bunch of friends, right? So the way that you leverage your power and understanding what power is, in a business sense, that's good to wrap your head around that, get some financial understanding of how, like you got $100,000 and you put that into something, and then you borrow against that and use that money to operate, and you're not taking an income, so you don't owe taxes, so your 100% of your money still drawing interest while you're operating off the loan, and then the interest on the loan is a tax write-off because that's what it costs to do business. Okay, so you're over here, you're doing your thing, but you set this apart over here, so this can grow and grow and grow while you're working with this over here. And what it costs you to do that is a line item expense that you write off. Take that away from your profit. So then that profit is less, so you owe less taxes. So these things are leveraging, which creates power. So if you take that and you buy assets, you got assets and liabilities, you know what I mean? So like, you need a house, you gotta have food, all this kind of stuff, but it's a liability. It ain't giving you nothing as far as your financial. Now, you need it to live. If you machine and you start, redoing the heads on a Cummins, whatever, you know what I mean? And but it expanded to rebuilding motors from there. You start out, you're just a head shop, and then you expand to, cylinder boring and all this kind of stuff, and just grow as you keep getting machines and stuff like that. And build your business in a way that's you can repeat that in a different area, so you can bring it up to scale. You see what I'm saying? And all that's power, all that's leverage. Okay, so what really matters, you have to be abundantly aware. To be self-aware is to be ahead of the game. You know what I mean? Like these people that are running everything are good at pencil whipping you. Okay, so you got your mindset a certain way. Okay, so they want you to think that they're better than you, tougher than you, bigger than you, and they got, all the resources, all this kind of stuff. But the reality is, now this is the reality, and this is going to sound weird. The reality is, like, you're fighting for victory, like the song "Victory in Jesus." Okay, so you're punching down. You already have the high ground when you get born again. When you're baptized and you're raised up out of the water, you're, and I quote, raised a new creation. You are no longer what you were. You are a new thing. And learning how to leverage that is incredible. And how to make manifest, how to bring about God's will is amazing. Okay, so what you'll see is God in all His wisdom, over and over and over. You've seen it in your own life. You've seen it in the lives of the people around you. You see it in the recent past of our country. God will just give them enough rope to hang themselves. They'll just, they'll just do and expose the evil of their heart. You know what I mean? And it's really an opportunity to redeem. That's the point. You got to remember, like Job was the richest dude ever. Okay, like Solomon was the richest dude ever. Job was the richest dude in his time, in his era. You take all the Saudi princes, and you take all the oligarchs and all the people running the show, all the different Rockefellers and all that kind of stuff. You wrap all that wealth into one dude, and that was Solomon, right? And he got there by asking God for wisdom. But his heart, when he asked for the wisdom, if you go study on that, I think it's 2 Kings. You'll find that when Solomon asked him, he said, like God showed up, he said, your dad's a good dude. What can I do for you to honor your dad? And Solomon says, well, I just need wisdom. I'm going to be running this country. I want to do right by you, and I don't want to mess this thing up. Hey, God's like, you have answered very well. Most people would want money or women or power, and you've asked for wisdom, so I'm going to give you wisdom, and I'm going to give you money and power through the wisdom, and he went on to do the things he did. You can read about it in the Bible. Very good read. You can live that as well, okay? But the access point is your heart check. I'll say this again. The access point is your heart check. It's more important why you're doing what you do than actually what you do. By leaps and bounds. by leaps and bounds. It is so much more important why versus what, how, when, and where. You can be anywhere in the world, at any time, at any point in history, doing whatever is your calling. If your heart is towards God and your why is to enact His will and to do right by Him and His people. And His people is for whomsoever will, by the way, you know. So, race, creed, color, status, none of that matters. None of that matters. It's for whomsoever will. So if you're willing to do it for God and to do it for His people, okay? There's your baseline, right? There's your baseline motivator. You know what I'm saying? And that can release well, I don't want to say what binds God, but if my ability to have access to God and my maturity level is not right, then, you know, if I'm not ready to run a Fortune 500 company, okay, we're just going to throw this out there. For practical purposes, let's bring it back to business. I'm talking about God, but I'm using the parable of business because a lot of people understand that. I'm not prepared to run a Fortune 500 company. Okay? So I have to get prepared to do that. So I should inquire of God, how do I do that? Okay? So, like, asking for wisdom. Wisdom's going to tell you, you know, what you need to do and stuff. And how to figure out, you know, look at your goal, count the steps back to where you're at, and act appropriately. You know what I mean? Pretend your problems are a friend asking you advice. And then give your friend advice, and then be mad enough to take your own advice. You know what I mean? Like your friend comes to you, he says, you know, I'm 3'2", 350. And, you know, my goal is to marry a supermodel. It's like, well, you're going to need a lot of money, and you need to get in shape. You know what I mean? You need to be attractive on many levels to get a supermodel to look your way. And, like, you're going to have to work on your comedy because you're 3'2", 350 pounds. That's not a very attractive state. You're a beach ball. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to work this out. Okay? So if that's my friend, I would give my friend that advice. Okay? So I pretend I'm my own friend, and then I give the advice. Now, if I write this down, it takes on the magic of quantum mechanics. Okay? So, because when you look at it, the measurements change. That's quantum mechanics. Okay? So, I got this goal. I want to have... Well, I read it said they have a form of religion, but no power. Well, how do I get power? Well, who had power? Elijah. Who had power? Jesus. You know, Joshua. Caleb. Moses. You know, like what? Where's the common denominators in these things? And at the very root of it, at the very root, you'll see time and time again why they were doing what they did. Why did they do what they did? Over and over. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. All right? So, shifting gears. Let's grab a gear and climb this hill. Okay. You're going to need to understand basics of family. That's what they do because they know the family is where the strength comes from. Where does family strength actually come from? It's the love. It's the sacrificial love the parents have for the kids, the parents have for each other. We can see it. We cannot put a number on it. It's very difficult to measure due to how enormous it is and how much power it holds. And, the power of love, that's where it's at. Okay? So, you see the enemy trick all these chicks and they'll be like, F the patriarchy. You know what I mean? And it's like, your dad loves you. Like, he would die for your mom. Like, the patriarch of the family, he's the most sacrificial one. You just don't like being told what to do because you're a spoiled brat. You see what I'm saying? So like, they can't handle the truth, the cold, hard truth. And then, but the truth wrapped in love. They can handle that. They can handle that. And you got to dish it out appropriate age and stage. What is it? Something, the carrot and the stick. You got to have a certain amount of dad loves you and a certain amount of boot the ass. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be motivated both ways. And you can't get either one out of equilibrium. Because without equilibrium, you can't walk across the street. You know what I mean? We're bipedal. That's a big deal because you got to understand that spiritually we're also bipedal. We got two legs to stand on, so there's always got to be equilibrium, the yin and yang of it all, right? So you take the power of love versus the power of hate. So this, multicolored hair and obesity, and then just in general defilement of the natural state of a human. They give off all these signs. The things in nature that are toxic have bright colors, right? So they've been harmed, right? They're mentally ill. My nose runs. Like, I have some type of illness, whatever. I'm allergic to something, so my nose runs, obviously, right? So, pointing out the obvious, like if I was self-conscious, I'd be upset about that. You know what I mean? But I'm not. So, like, you can tell me, hey, you're snotty. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, like, more ways than one. Anyway, it doesn't bother me because I'm mature. But if I was insecure and self-conscious, like I'd be real upset. Like, I couldn't make these videos because my teeth are not perfect, and I got a runny nose. You see what I'm saying? That's why I say with a face like this, you got to have a sense of humor. Okay, so as I embrace, like this, that's my reminder. Like, you can't beat the Jesus out of me. Been there, done that. They've tried. It did not work. Runny nose, whatever. I keep going. You know what I mean? So I have power over my emotions and my flaws and stuff like that or whatever. And I've embraced what God has given me through the struggle. Okay, now this is key. This is key. Whatever pissed you off, embrace it. I'm mad about my financial status. I'm mad about my, family status. I'm mad about my patriarchy, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm jealous that so-and-so's working less and getting more, or whatever this is. Okay? All these things that affect your emotions, your emotional status. motivates you and gives you power. Okay, some of it's good, some of it's bad. You know what I mean? I might be jealous of somebody and then, try to thwart their success to elevate my own. And people do that. And they'll say, oh, well, it's not fair. Or, then doing those things, like, that's where you get into your morals and ethics, right? Do I have to tear this person down so that I can build up? No, I can just build myself up. You know what I mean? But if I'm emotionally involved with this competitor, I will do more through the competition. So that's incredible. That is incredible. And a lot of people will refer to that as dark energy, but it's actually not. There's nothing dark about that. That's just competition. And competition makes a better athlete. Therefore, that is good because the results are good. You judge the tree by the fruit. That's why you'll hear people and they'll be like coaching other people, and they will use harsh language, very abrasive. You know what I mean? Like, you need that. You need that in your life because you're in competition and everything else like that. You're in a form of training, and you're going to go out there into the world, and you're going to come against evil, and you better be ready to handle it, or they're going to run you over, and they're evil. So, yeah, they're here to kill, steal, and destroy. Okay? So, yeah, you're going to need power over that. So when you have these various opportunities, you're going to have to be able to walk in a way that is righteous, okay? And you can't. You can't do it. You cannot do it. I don't care what anybody tells you. You can't. You need help, okay? And that's why everybody hits rock bottom, or a come to Jesus moment, or whatever it is. It's like you can't do it. It's not. It wasn't. The Creator didn't make it to where people could do it without it. Like if you get around the real churches, and they'll be like, there's a God-shaped hole inside of each one of us that only He can fill, and just all these different cliches and stuff. And it's very difficult to admit that you need help. But you need help. You cannot do it on your own. Even the ones that say that they're self-made, they are not. They're the people that came before them. Like me right now. Dude, I'm driving across a bridge on a paved road. You see what I'm saying? So like, you know how long it takes to build a bridge and pave a road? So I'm standing on the shoulders of those that came before me. You know what I mean? If there's nobody self-made, we're all doing that. We're all standing on the previous generations. And thank God for that. You know what I mean? And then once you realize that, and you kind of, get rid of that puffed up bullshit, then you can embrace, hey, I'm proud of these people that did X, Y, Z, and everything else like that. But I'm humble enough to know without them, I ain't shit, right? So that's a way to quantify, to a certain degree, kind of parable style, what God did for us at baptism. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to do it by yourself. You have got to be, I think it was, it wasn't Jesus, it was one of the disciples that said, you have to repent and be baptized to be saved. Saved from what? The fires of hell. The fire of hell. Okay, George Washington died over 200 years ago, and he is still dead. Am I supposed to go straight here? I think I am supposed to go straight here. Why is everybody exiting? It says study to find yourself approved. It says something about the washing of the water of the word. It says your eyes the window to the soul. It says Jesus is the word become flesh. So when I read, I'm just taking Yeshua, I'm taking God himself straight to the soul, because I'm reading it with my eyes, and as I read it out loud and I hear myself reading it, I have a higher retention and an ability. Man, every time I make these videos, stuff goes crazy. The enemy does not want this. When I read something out loud, I hear it, so there's a greater retention and stuff. And then when I'm reading it, if I underline the nouns and circle the action verbs, are a big deal. You know what I mean? I get into the grammar stuff. I pay attention to the punctuation and stuff like that, and I just digest the word. Okay, so now I'm involved with this thing. Okay, Jesus walked on the water. Okay, where are we at? We're at water. You know, and I'm stepping back to context. Before, I'm looking at what happened after, read through it, come back to the line, do my circles, highlights, stuff like that. I'm talking it out, I'm reading it out loud. All this stuff, I'm interacting with the Bible. I'm being cleansed. I'm being washed. And I'm taking Jesus to the soul. Okay? Power of the blood. Okay, so another place, the life of the animal is in the blood, and then like the way you slaughter a lamb in a kosher way to do it, you dig the hole, you pray about it, you set him down, slit his throat, lay him over, and you bury the blood and you cover it and you pray over it, right? Like there's a reason that you pray for your food. You're thanking God that this animal gave its life so that you can eat. Big deal. All these things are a big deal. So as we're going into doing, and these things progress, you'll get emotionally involved with God, and you'll get to the point where it's like, I see the wisdom in this. This is cool. I see the wisdom in that. That's cool. I see the wisdom. Oh wow, this. Oh wow, that. Oh wow, this. Oh, all this ties together in perfect harmony. Man, I love this. Now my motivator is correct. I'm doing for God and I'm doing for His people because I love them. I genuinely love the Bible. I genuinely love His people. I can tell who His people are by whether or not they're willing, regardless if they're able or not. And that's beautiful. That's why I love it, because it's beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, it's beautiful. It's amazing. And the state of being in love, and then just being amazed, and then feeling like I can give back to Him, and walking in that, taking that opportunity to just write a poem or write a song lyric or that special thing where nobody's looking. When nobody's looking, and it ain't for nobody else. It's for God. And I'm just like, a genuine thank you before I eat. You know, reading a little bit and just seeing it and say, God, show me what I didn't see the last 12 times I read this same page. And to hear something like, we'll read it a different way. You know what I mean? Like, change your perspective. See it from my angle. See it how your wife sees it. See it how your brother would see it. And then you get into this thing, you'll see it a lot in the world. Where people will do some, it's basically manipulation. I do this, expecting that, and then here's the result, right? You know, 2 plus 2 is 4. So I got 2 over here. I'm going to get them to do 2, and then we'll do 4, and then somehow synergy will make 8. 6 after we clean a little bit. Because we're working together. Type of deal. Right? So, I can pull 100, he can pull 100, but together we can pull 300 on this sled, and like, you know, we need a rope or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And it gets a little, or whatever. Okay, well, that manipulation is bad. If it's unknown. And like what makes it, if I hire you, I say, hey, I'm going to pay you $100, we're going to do X, Y, Z. And you're like, okay, all right, you know, so that's all righteous. It's up front, clear cut and dry. But when you're driving down the road, I hate to say it this way, but it's true. Brace up for this one. You're driving down the road and your wife says, do you want ice cream? And I'm like, no, I do not want ice cream, which is an honest answer. And then she gets mad because she did not say, she literally said, asked me if I wanted some, but what she meant to say is, I want some ice cream. And she's saying it in a way that is confusing. And I'm supposed to, somehow it's in her head, I'm obligated to figure out. And that's bullshit, manipulation. It's evil. It's evil. And that's because that's the way women talk to each other in the world. But if you go to the Bible, it's part of the culture. I'm not going to say it's voodoo, but it's close. I mean, no shit, it's really close. Like power of suggestion and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like the placebo effect. Like there's an opposite of that too. Like people that, a bunch of people that died of COVID just died because you told them they were gonna. And that's a scientific fact. That's facts. Like they wouldn't have died if you didn't tell them they were going to die. But because you told them that, they did. It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's voodoo. You know what I mean? Like, bro. Anyway, evil power. You got to be ready to deal with this stuff. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. In the book of Ephesians, our fight is against the principalities and the powers of the air, not flesh and blood. So do everything you can and stand. After you've done all that you can, stand. Stand therefore with the belt of truth, helmet of salvation, breastplate of righteousness, shield of faith, sword which is the word. Pray at all times. Keep your feet fitted with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Pray also for me, and when I open my mouth, I will boldly proclaim the mystery of the gospel. Bro. This ain't no joke. We ain't playing patty cake out here. It's not right for me to make fun the 7-Eleven songs. 7 words, 11 times. It does sound kind of gay. It does. It does. There's a place for that. Not for the gay shit, but for the singing. And genuinely being emotionally involved with God. You're in Trump derangement syndrome. They're emotionally involved with Donald Trump. And they're mentally abusing themselves. And then the propagandists are playing off of their emotions and hurting the soft-headed. I call it soft-headed. That's what I call it. And they're just weak. They're soft. They never been through nothing. They'd be better off ignorant, really. I mean, you see it all the time. Somebody who's plumb ignorant and excel. You see somebody who thinks they know everything and just like, broke, effed up in the game, got addictions and, mental illness. Why? I just watched the thing and it said they're getting rid of the homeless camps in Washington, D.C. and this lady standing there and she's like, well, I got an associate's degree and my boyfriend works 5 days a week. We can't afford $2,000 to rent an apartment. And I'm like, you have an associate's degree and you're living in a tent? You can't afford $2,000 to pay your rent? I mean, don't get me wrong, $2,000 is a lot of money, but I can figure that out. I don't have an associate's degree. What did you do? Able-bodied, attractive. She said she wasn't on drugs or nothing. And, I'm just like, okay, so you're physically able to work at $15 an hour. Like, you can pick up a couple shifts at McDonald's and pay $2,000. You know what I mean? You said you have a partner, to whatever degree, that also has a job. You know what I mean? So, your associate's degree is not in money management for sure, or work ethic. Your ability to do life. Like you did not learn something. I don't know, man. I don't know. Stuff happens. You know what I mean? I was homeless for a while. You know what I mean? Like I didn't pay rent and I didn't own a house. I never spent time living in a tent because I couldn't figure it out. You're like, what kind of a jerk would I be that I don't have a friend to sleep on the couch? We've all had that couch surfing phase where we're in between places or whatever like that, or I guess I kind of live in a truck right now. So, anyways, but it just baffles me, man. The lady was on the news. I'm like, you have enough time to get on the news and talk about all this stuff and show off your tent and all this kind of stuff? Why are you not at work? Dude, I had 3 jobs before and my apartment was just a place to sleep. I remember saying to myself, there's no point in paying for an apartment because all I do is show up here and lay down and go to sleep. I took a shower, went to sleep. I'm like, I'll just sleep on somebody's couch. You know what I mean? At one point, I literally would sleep in my pickup, a Silverado, and I remember I got a boom box out from underneath the seat, and I had $18,000. And I remember sitting there looking at that money. I was like, I have $18,000, and I was sleeping in the truck. And I was parked in my buddy's yard, and I roofed their house for free. So they're just happy for me to be around. Anyways, no sense to have a house or rent something. You know what I mean? And sometimes you can have a crap ton of money and you're better off to rent because somebody else does the maintenance and you don't have to mess with it. That's a whole other thing. When you're willing, you know, like, dude, I would actually be honest with you. I would love to sit down and talk with that lady for about an hour. I'd be like, hey, you know, what's going on? And just shoot the shit with her, like, at the truck stop. And be like, you know, you actually can do this. You're like, this is not too hard. You know what I mean? I really think I could have helped that lady, man, for real. But getting back on point, you got to build your foundation. Like even for that lady, you know, it's like, you know, we all struggle. You know, she could have been on her way to the Jesus moment, the come to Jesus moment, the rock bottom. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do it without him. You can't do it without him. There's some stuff that impersonates God, like they call that religion. Okay, that's an impersonation of God. That's one of the worst evils. There's a lot of religious people, and Jesus called them a brood of vipers, and they had enough pull with the community to crucify Jesus. So, you want to count that in your cost, for sure. You know, it's gonna kill you. And you should be happy about that. Because to die is gain. And the more that I decrease, the more that he increases, the more that I can walk in the ways that are his. That is power. And when I bring his will into the earth, there's nothing more satisfying than that. There's a hunger and a thirst that the addicts have, you know, for, I don't know, cheese, fentanyl, marijuana, whatever. Roller grill, Doritos, whatever. Like people are addicted to various things or whatever, and when they get what they think they're addicted to, there's a certain satisfaction in that, and they get a certain high from that, and then they chase that high. And I guess they say something about smoking crack or whatever, or maybe it's meth, I don't know. Anyway, there's some kind of, first time they do the drug, they get addicted to it, and they're always chasing that first high. You'll hear them say it. You go to any of them 12-step meetings or whatever. That's why I hate going to them things. You just got to sit there and listen to their bullshit, but you can't give them no advice. You know, and I have advice Tourette syndrome is what I call it. Because, you know, I'll give you good advice and say motherfucker randomly, and I can't stop it. Like, I have advice Tourette syndrome, so I tell everybody what to do all the time. They call me boss at work, and they're like, I said, why does everybody keep calling me boss? They're like, because you boss everybody around. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like Skip, as in skipper, like running the ship, like Skip, you know what I mean? Anyways, I'm just rambling now. I'm way off topic. Well, I'm not off topic, but if you want to gain power, real power, okay, and you want to be successful, you need to know what game you're playing. And it does not profit a man to gain the entire world and end up in hell. say this again. It doesn't matter how many Lamborghinis you have, how many houses, how many employees and warehouses, and you can be Rockefeller and burn in hell. George Washington died over 200 years ago, and he is still dead. So wherever he went, he's still there. Or it's an eternal flame and he burned up. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But he's still dead for sure. We're going to be dead a lot longer than we're going to be alive. And depending on how you look at it, on the good side, New Earth, yay. On the flip side, if you're the false prophet or the beast or Satan himself, the smoke of your torment will go up forever, and you will be damned and eternally tortured. And there's a strong case, and other than that, you're just like worthless, thrown to a burn pile, burned up, nobody remembers you, like you're so worthless, like you're not even worth being tortured. You're just like gone, done, and that's eternal separation from God. You don't want that. So Jesus said, lay up treasure in heaven. And that's souls, man. That's souls. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. And when you develop a discipline, a fighting style, a business plan, all that's kind of the same thing. It really is. And you can glean from people good at business and become a better Taekwondo fighter. Let me say this again. You can watch somebody that's good at business and take those principles and apply that to Taekwondo or Jiu-Jitsu, Jeet Kune Do, fighting styles, fighting disciplines. You can apply the principles there and fight your opponent in a way he's never seen before. You know what I mean? Like if we're going to go out there and kick each other in the face and call it, Muay Thai, which I like Muay Thai. Muay Thai is the best fighting style on the street. Because you got your hands up like, oh, please don't. And you're like back away and then like kick him in the thigh. Like if you ever been kicked in the thigh by a professional fighter, bro, at that point just run off. You know what I mean? They're raising hell to whatever degree. You're like, hey, don't, please don't. You're backing away. They step in, get your timing right as they're stepping towards you and their weight's on their leg, and then you kick the shit out of their thigh. Bro, that little shit on thigh is nothing to sneeze at. And then just run off. They're not going to chase you. You're faster than they are after a solid leg kick, guaranteed. And there's more than 80% of humanity that's never been kicked like that, ever. So that'll be the first one. And that thing about chasing that first high, it's the direct opposite. The direct opposite. They will not want any more. Third. And if there's cameras, which there is, you had your hands up, you backed away, and then when they got within 6 feet, aggressively, you kicked them in the leg or off. And they're going to be bad and everything, whatever. There might be, whatever. It's a non-lethal response. So when you're in the courtroom, it's just like, getting in my face. I was afraid for my life. I figured after I kicked him like that, I gave him a chance to leave me alone. Then I said, leave me alone. I ran away. Now we're here in court. What's the problem? At worst, you'll pay a fine, a couple days in jail, whatever. No big deal. Anyways, I wouldn't do that like actually in the courthouse. I mean, whatever. It's whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? You got to be ready to fight the fight wherever you're at. We're in a war, okay? Don't think that person that looks like a nerd is not a Navy SEAL. I'm going to say this again. Don't think that person that looks like a nerd is not some kind of Navy SEAL. Okay? Like, if you look at some of the... Go back to the 80s and look at some of these things. I mean, look at a picture of the Unabomber. You know what I mean? Like there's a pattern in these people that will have the potential of causing you a serious problem. You know what I mean? If you look at that, and it's not the people that you think, and they train. You know what I mean? So it's like this getting back to discipline. You know what I mean? It's the training. You know, disciple, discipline. Okay, so what are you looking at? What's your motivation in all this? You know what I mean? So if I'm trying to serve God, you know what I mean? Like even the Marines, for God and country. And who's the most squared away? The Marines. Why? Because they're honoring God. When you take a man, look at the people that blow themselves up. You know, the Aloha Snack Bar crowd. You know what I mean? That religion. It's a form of power. Okay? You look at these people doing 75 hard. That's a form of power. That's a fighting style. That's a discipline. That's a form of power. As you become mentally tough, is the way they describe it. That's a religion, man. At the heart of all disciplines is religion. You know what I mean? And when you look at all the different stuff, every possibility, and then you get to the Bible. Okay. Then you realize all these other things are operating off the principles of the Creator. And then, when you realize that, like they'll use different words. They'll say the universe and all that kind of stuff. And that's not what it is. There is an ultimate. And you can know His name. You know? And when you are involved with that, like that is the ultimate. It's like my dad is stronger than your dad. For sure. And you'll see Jesus rebuke people and say, you're of your father the devil. The devil is the deceiver and the father of lies. You're lying to yourself if you're religious. You're lying to yourself if you're religious. It has a form of power. It will bring you mighty things. It will. But you're fucked. You're going to burn in hell. There's one way. That's it. That's it. Other than that, you're fucked. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are. There's no age, there's no stage. From the Pope to frickin' lady in a tent. Does not matter. The gift is right there for you. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. When I was growing up, I tell this all the time. When I was growing up as a kid, we had the same thing on the menu every day. We had take it or leave it. And leave it came with a side of ass whip. Because if you didn't eat what Mom made, then she'd whip your ass and send you to bed. You know? And then there was days like we didn't have no dinner. Because we didn't have no food. So she'd be like, go down to the creek, catch some crawdads, and bring back the crawdads and the watercress. We'd come back and she done pick some oak leaves or whatever, throw it in the pot, salt and pepper it up, boil it. Hey, there's dinner. Watching that Survivor, whatever, Naked and Afraid. That's what it was. We were watching that. This dude, he ain't got no food out there, and then like he made this place. He made him a mattress out of grass and everything else like that. He just laid there for like 12 days starving, and I'm like, chew the grass, just get the chlorophyll out of the grass and just spit out the fiber. Like you can live on it. You really can, you know? Absolutely ridiculous. God, just how he lost like 47 pounds or whatever. Anyways, so that religion, it seems like it's doing something for you. It really does, and it is. That's why it looks like it. But everything that glitters isn't gold, and not all roads lead to the same place. You know, I'm on Highway 59. If I'm trying to get to California, I ain't never gonna get there. So I'm on the wrong road. It's very difficult. Very difficult to watch the people stumble and fall and stuff. And then even more difficult to look at the mirror and be like, you're not who you're supposed to be. Fix it. Fix it. Get on the stick. Get on the stick, baby. You got to. You got to. God will get it done without you. I see this testimony, and this person was like called by God to do something or whatever. And just doing this amazing ministry or whatever like that. And somebody else is talking to him and everything, and they're like, how did you know that God called you? And he's like, I said the same thing. So they're like praying. He's like, God, why would you pick me? Like, why am I number one to do this thing? And God's like, you're not number one. You're number 4. The other 3 said no. Right. Just like, just emptied me out. Just emptied me out. Because I'm just like, I've been called to do many things. Many, many things. And the quest to try to find somebody that's more qualified and better at it and all this kind of stuff. Like I've given his place supply and installation and like the full business plan to, I don't know, 80 people at least. And I mean, it's to the point where like if I was tasked to do that, I could sit down and write the whole thing out in an hour. You know what I mean? Like I know how to build a water purification tower next to any ocean that's powered by the waves, produce electricity, clean water, and secondary gray water system, and how to develop the whole land around it to run off the tower. I mean, I got the idea from like the Archimedes tower or whatever like that, and then like solar panels and like geosynthetic gliders, and how to, anyways. Yeah, it just like well, I ain't gonna start talking about all that. But anyway, and I'm just like set apart. Just like draw this stuff up or whatever like that. Just Da Vinci style. You know what I mean? And just like books, dude. Books and books and books of this stuff. And I'm even like, I'm driving down the road distracted by like, operating a semi-truck and be able to get on here and talk about, like everybody's like trying to figure out what politician to vote for. I'm like, why don't we have like baseball cards? And I'm thinking about, Monday Night Football where the guy stands up and he's like, hi, I'm Jerome Bettis, blah, 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 from this and that, whatever, 6'4", front, whatever. And they give like a little bio. I'm like, why don't we have this for politicians? You know what I mean? Like, here's, Beto O'Rourke. He's a Democrat. He voted for this, that, and the other. He's supported by this money coming from this PAC, that PAC, whatever. You know what I mean? And all that just be like in a bio form. You know what I mean? And then like the thing come to me and just be like, okay, like, here's your, just register as a citizen. It's got, your address. So like everything that I should be considering, from the school board all the way to president, who's the sheriff, whatever, all the Congress stuff, the county stuff, whatever, vote yes on Proposition 24, what the fuck ever. Like, I don't even pay attention to that shit. But like if something popped up on my little calendar thing, hey, this is what I should be voting for, or this is the votes coming up in my area. Click on it. Here's the people running for office. Here's their biopics. Click through there and look at it. Okay, all right. Now I'm kind of informed. And then vote. No brainer for me. Bam. Thought about it for 20 minutes. Driving down the road. Lucas Street. You think I'm bullshit? You think I'm bullshit? And it's nothing for me. You know what I mean? I'm nothing special. I'm nothing special. It's for whomsoever will. Like, remember watching He-Man? He's like, I have the power! And he's holding a freaking sword. Like, dude, this sword is the word of God. You know what I mean? It's like, pick your Bible up and like, I have the power! I have the scripture! Why do you think nobody's watching this channel? Like, dude, I don't know who's watching this channel, for real. But on my end, if I get like 3 thumbs up, I'm like, hey, that really did good. I'll just keep making them anyway. Whatever. It's for whomsoever will. I'll throw it out there. Hey, if you're going to be fishing, like, dude, how many times do you cast the line versus how many times you catch a fish? Be honest. Be honest. You know what I'm saying? I know there's different ways to do it. I can change up the lures. This is 1 hour and 8 minutes long. I can chop this into 5-minute videos. Like I could probably hire somebody to just edit all my shit into short videos and actually blow up and reach more people. Which I probably should do that, but I ain't done it yet. See what I'm saying? It's for whomsoever will. But I haven't done that, so I'm not getting that result. You see what I'm saying? And that's the type of stuff, when I'm looking in the mirror, I'm just like, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. You know what I mean? And the flip side of all this goodness is, what if somebody ends up in hell? Y'all thought about that one time. I'm like, what if I'm standing there next to Jesus and he points at somebody and they're just like, burning in hell. And he's like, if you could talk to that guy, be like, you know, just be standing there shocked by the horror of seeing it. And Jesus is like, that one, all those over there. Yeah, if you could talk to them, they wouldn't be there right now. The whole scene changes. You see that moment that you had to talk to him, but you didn't. And then in that moment you can see why. Well, I was embarrassed. I didn't want to seem like one of those or whatever. I didn't want to look like one of them Jesus freaks. And you'll see how small it was. And how deceived you were in that moment. And it's just like, bro. Take a snap back. You can see from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, into 2025, and we're on the verge of a fad of actually reading the Bible. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. You can see it in the 80s. Just look at the fads. Look at the fads. We're on the verge of the fad of Jesus is cool. Bro. The harvest is upon us. Don't miss your opportunity. You know what I mean? Don't miss your opportunity. You know what I mean? And get rid of that. Get rid of that religious bullshit. Yeah, I mean, it'll get you a nice car. Cool. Cool. You know? I don't know what else to say, man. I don't know what else to say. Like, you're fucking crazy if you don't. Like, you're bullshitting yourself, and you're, like, you really are suicidal. Like what even happened, dude? Like, what even happened that you're so mad at God? You know what I mean? Like, what did you miss out on that was so bad? What did God do to you that was so bad? And then, like, why are you such a punk that you can't stand up for God? You know what I mean? Like, the next step, like, first it's like, what did God do to you? And then you get over that, and it's just like, well, why wouldn't you stand up for Him now that you know that He did that for you? You know what I mean? Like you have a car. You know what I mean? Like, how did you get gasoline? Whose shoulders are you standing on here? You know, okay, yeah, they made the road, they made the cars, they made the gas. Who made the earth? Who made the earth? Who made chickens? Like, everybody loves chicken. Everybody, if you like chicken, you like to eat chicken, that means that you're a normal human being. It might mean you're a normal coyote. I don't know. A normal owl. Everything eats my chickens, including me. Only plants eat chicken shit, though. So don't be chicken shit. You know what I mean? Don't be chicken shit. Do a heart check today and see where you're at. The best, dude, if you know where you're at, you're honest with yourself, that means you're not living in a delusional state. And if you don't know for a fact where you're going, if you have any question about whether or not you'll be on the new earth with Jesus, you better get that settled. You better get that settled. That's your most urgent thing to do. And then realize everybody's in the same boat. Everybody has that same urgency. And make sure that that's what you're actually doing. Because that's laying up treasure in heaven. That's a command. That's what Jesus said to do. Raquel, go get them.